Welcome, everybody. This is the Options Moneymaker Q&A session for December 16th, 2020. I'm Mark Dannenberg, and this is our last Q&A session for the 2020 calendar year. We'll pick up again in January, but we hope to have a very productive session here. Michael Kastner and Aaron Rumley are with me this evening also, and we'll be hearing their voices in a little bit. First, we're going to just make sure everybody understands clearly why we do this. All of you who are attending have made some level of commitment to really learn how to trade, and we are here to help you do just that. Our mantra is learn to trade and then trade to earn. A lot of people will jump into trading and they'll fail immediately and they think it doesn't work and it wasn't for me, and they make up all sorts of stories about that. And the reason is because they didn't invest any time in learning. So we're here to help you learn. And one of the ways that we help you learn is by spending our time every other Wednesday, making ourselves available so that you can ask us questions about any topic related to what we do, the systems that we use, the strategies that we use, whether it's options trading or futures trading. So if you have questions about the adaptive entry system, if you have questions about the profit sweet spot matrix that Aaron talks about every day, looking at the daily crosses when the market opens. If you have questions about how we construct the live trading room, anything that perhaps we haven't had time to respond to in the live trading room, or if you have questions about our Profit Builder Plus options education program or anything options related or anything futures related, we're here to answer those questions. We also represent New Cycle Trading and Analytics regarding the adaptive entry system and the tools that they've created, which has really magnified the level and consistency of profits that traders are earning in our community. So we're pretty excited. We're pretty excited to be working with them and collaborating with them. All right, so first thing we're going to do here is emphasize how important it is to update your personal trading plan at the end of each day. Now, if you're not familiar with the personal trading plan, it is a tool that we created here at Options Moneymaker to help traders understand where they're at any given point in time. And Aaron and I were having a conversation today about how important the personal trading plan is because it helps you keep track of what your performance is. If you only function as a trader day to day, meaning you don't keep your eye on what your average profitable or losing run rate is, you don't keep your eye on what that run rate could project going forward, then you're kind of stuck in this quagmire of some days you feel really good, other days you feel like this isn't for you because you have no relationship, no perspective at all in terms of how today performed relative to prior history or perhaps carrying that history forward. So what we're going to do here is what we do frequently at the end of each trading day is we're going to translate our performance for the last couple of days into our personal trading plan, and the personal trading plan then helps us take our average run rate and project that forward for a 12-month period. We're almost at 6 months. We're closing in on the first 6 months of tracking in our personal trading plan. So we really have some significant data in there now and really are at a point where we can rely pretty strongly on the averages that we've established. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the personal trading plan. First of all, here's the detail of today's performance. Aaron does a great job of just tracking detail trade by trade. These are live trades. We've got winning trades, we've got losing trades, and I'm showing this because we have several people who like to take a snapshot of the 7 to end of the day detail, and you can kind of match up to what your own personal performance was. But we've got trades that we lose on, we've got trades that we have a full loss on. Here were 2 back-to-back 20-point losing trades. And then we've got a whole series of 5-point winning trades, we've got 10-point winning trades, and it's just whatever the market offers us that we lock in. Yesterday, here's the detail from yesterday, starting at 7 a.m. We actually track from 3 a.m. forward, but most people pay attention to 7 a.m. forward. So here's from 7 a.m. First trade was 7:01, and you can see 5-point wins, 10-point wins, 6-point loss. We just record them as they come. We're really, as much as possible, kind of non-emotional about the whole thing. And then at the end of the day, we just see what the tally is. So that's the detail for those of you who like to take a snapshot of that. Mostly I focus on the daily summary, which is going to summarize for us how we did in the two primary categories that we track for our personal trading plan. So the first category, you're familiar with this if you've been here with us for a while, but we track from 9:30 a.m. Eastern to 12 noon Eastern. And that's for the benefit of people who want to see what they could produce by trading perhaps half of a day. And then we also track from 7 a.m. Eastern to 4 p.m. Eastern. And that's for people who are willing to spend more time in their day trading and perhaps have a bigger overall performance. Now, there's a lot of different variations to how you can track. 9:30 to noon, we take a look at tracking all signals, all of the adaptive entry system signals. 7 a.m. Eastern to 4 p.m., we take a look at tracking only the trend bias and trend continuation trades. But you can track all signals 7 to 4, you could track all signals 7 to 4 plus fractals. There's all sorts of different ways you can slice it. So we're not implying that these two categories are the only categories you should be trading, but we have used those since July to just demonstrate for you the power of tracking on a personal trading plan so that you can keep track of what your performance is. So yesterday in the 9:30 to noon category, we managed to earn 19.75 points. Now this is trading the NASDAQ 100 futures, and each point is worth $20 per contract. So if you're trading one contract, it's going to be $20 times that 19.75. And we did 11 trades, and we are actually trading 3 contracts per trade, so that's 33 contracts. Now today we did 55 points and we did 11 trades, so way more productive today, and you're going to have various variations like that, but way more productive today, 33 contracts on 11 trades and 55 points. So that's going to be 55 points times 20 times 3 contracts. And I'll give you the totals on that when we jump over to the personal trading plan. In the 7 to 4 category, where we're only taking the trend bias signals, yesterday was a really strong day at 64.75 points, 14 trades, 3 contracts per trade, and today was 35 points, 16 trades, 3 contracts per trade. Now, before I get off of the summary here, I want to just point out a couple of things. Now that we have 6 months, almost 6 months, we're 2 weeks shy of 6 months under our belt, we really can start to take a look at our averages with much greater degree of integrity. And the thing I wanted to emphasize, and this is what I was alluding to earlier, it's difficult when you go through a couple of big losing days or maybe a series of days. A couple of weeks ago, we had 3 losing days in a row, and that starts to weigh on a trader. And if you had no perspective, big picture perspective, you might start to wonder, well, does this strategy work? And what am I doing wrong? And this is really discouraging. That is just 3 days out of a whole 52-week focus. 52 weeks is what we're looking for, and that's just 3 days. Here is a day last week that just really was very frustrating for all of us, down 85 points, 9:30 to noon. Now that's a big loss. In fact, that's the biggest losing day we've had. And if I scroll back up here, which I did today, just to identify what's our biggest winning day in this 6-month time frame was 110 points. Now, I would never expect us to average 110 points a day in the 9:30 to noon category, but there is a day that we did that. I also would never expect us to average 85 points of loss every day in the 9:30 to noon category. So what we're seeing here is by measuring on an everyday basis, keeping track of the trade detail, like I already showed you, we are able to establish some boundaries, some parameters within which we tend to average a certain performance value. And if you trade for 52 weeks and you're trading right along with us, it's a reasonable expectation that you could be fairly close to our average. Of course, same thing applies to the 7 to 4 category, where we're only trading the trend bias and trend continuation signals. We've had 73-point losing days. We've had whole periods of time, a couple of weeks at a time, where we haven't had a single losing day. So that's why we emphasize so strongly that it's important to focus on the averages and not the individual day. If you focus on the individual day, you're just subjecting yourself to the emotional roller coaster of, oh my God, that was a horrible day. Oh my God, this is awesome. This is going to be this way forever. None of that's going to be true. And so we focus on the averages. All right, so I'm going to jump over to our personal trading plan, and I'm going to start with a 9:30 to noon category. And this is a tool that was designed specifically so that on a daily basis, you could invest just a couple of minutes of time at the end of your day, and you can plug in your actual performance. What was your performance for that day? And it's going to calculate for you what your average run rate is, meaning if you took all of the wins and losses and you netted them together, you kind of have a understanding of how you're performing overall. And then if we take that average and we project it out forward so that we cover a full 52-week period, you have a reasonable expectation of what your income could be over a 12-month period. All right, so let's first of all start by putting in our performance for yesterday. We're going to go over here and we're going to plug in the, let's see, 19 3/4 points at $20 a point times 3 contracts was $1,185. And we did 33 contracts, that's 11 trades with 3 contracts per trade. Today was 55 points at $20 a point times 3 contracts. So today was not 33, it was $3,300 of profit. And today was the same number of contracts. Now we're going to lock in our contract override field 3 contracts, because that's the number of contracts that we traded yesterday and today. And before I go through the projection for the 12-month period, I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to do our 7 to 4 data entry. So we had 64 3/4 points at $20 a point, 3 contracts. That means that yesterday our profit was $3,885. $3,885. We did 14 trades at 3 contracts per trade, 42 contracts. And then today it was 35 points of profit, $20 a point, 3 contracts, $2,100 of profit today, and 16 trades, 3 contracts per trade, 48 contracts in total. By putting in the number of contracts, we are factoring into our forecast our expense, our cost of doing business in terms of our trades. All right, so now I'm going to jump up to the top of the spreadsheet here, and we're going to take a look at this value. Right here, it's telling us that we have 23.6 weeks behind us. So we have been trading and recording for 23.6 weeks. 33 of those days, 33 days in the last 23.6 weeks have been losing days. They've been losing days, 33 days. Now, the reason we look at that value is by default, all the other days are winning days. And then these two values right here, this is the average of our winning days, and this is the average of our losing days. So take all of our winning days, and we can determine that our average winning day was 31.71. Now what we do is we actually factor in the frequency rate of winning days into this value. And here we factor in the frequency rate of losing days into this value. So it's not just a pure, you lost, 33 days and it's those 33 days performance divided by 33. It's those 33 days, and we're factoring in, so that we go forward, the frequency of winning days to losing days, so that we factor that appropriately into our forecast. So 31.71 is our average winning day. These two values right here are where we need to consider our future forecast. We know that we've averaged 31.71 on our winning days, so we want to use that for our future forecast because that's the run rate that we have actually established. So 31.71 is our average run rate for our winning days, and 32, sorry, minus 32.2 is our average run rate for losing days. And so now what we've done is we've said to our tool here, our personal trading plan tool, we want to assume that going forward, we're going to have the same averages that we've already established for the first 24 weeks, almost 24 weeks. And that's what those numbers are based on. So now we know what our actual history is, and we are using that same history to project going forward. We're also assuming that we're not going to continue to scale up the number of contracts that we're trading, that we're only trading 3 contracts for the rest of our 52-week plan. So that's relatively conservative in my opinion. So all of that factored in, what our history shows, plus using that same history projected forward for the rest of our 52-week time frame, says that at the end of 12 months, we could reasonably have an expectation of having earned about $288,000 for that 12-month time frame. Now, there's absolutely no guarantee that we're going to earn $288,000, but the longer we go in establishing our actual history within our personal trading plan, the closer we are going to be to that actual number. The reason there might be a variable to this number, higher or lower, is our actual performance going forward might decrease, or our actual performance going forward might increase. So we might have a positive variance or we might have a negative variance. The longer we get into our 52-week plan, the less of an impact each day's performance has on the overall run rate. So 288,000 is a reasonable run rate right now, reasonable actual projection for a 52-week plan, having started the first week of July. Now that's having started with $5,000 in the account, and all we're doing is we're recycling the same capital from trade to trade to trade. We're never in more than one trade at a time. We are certainly never holding anything overnight. This is all trading during the day, and we're into a trade and we're out of the trade just as soon as we possibly can get out of the trade, following the parameters that we use. All right, so let's jump over to our 9:30 to noon category. The numbers are going to be a little different here because we although we have the same 23.6 weeks, almost 24 weeks, we are trading a shorter time frame. We're trading 9:30 to noon, not 7 to 4. We have 38 losing days out of our 23.6 weeks, and our average winning day is 23.57. Our average losing day is 38.82. So we want to now forecast forward using those same run rate values, minus 38.82, and we are capped at 3 contracts. I'm going to come back and talk about the number of contracts here in just a minute. And that tells us that trading 9:30 to noon, using our historical run rates projected forward, I think I put that in wrong, 23.57. There we go. Well, I got that wrong too. 23. Well, I seriously have not been drinking here. 23.57. I'm going to blame that on the keyboard. There we go. So 23.57, that is the run rate. That's the run rate that we've established, and our losing run rate is 38.82, all factoring in the frequency of losses relative to the number of weeks that we have under our belt. So $166,302 is the 12-month forecast. Now, if you're just starting out and say maybe you're in the first 2, 3, 4 weeks, your averages may change more dramatically from day to day. That's just part of the process. You've got to build your averages. You've got to build some experience under your belt. You've got to understand what you're doing. And this is one of the reasons why we strongly suggest that you trade the first month, maybe as much as 3 months in sim mode, and you can establish your own confidence level in the strategies, as well as establish your own average run rates. And that way, when you shift to live dollars, you can take what your experience rate was from sim mode and use those averages to help forecast going forward. And again, the longer we go, we're almost to the 6-month mark, the less likely it is that these run rate values are going to change dramatically. They could change. They could either improve or they could erode. Whatever they are, we're going to use those values going forward. And again, this is all based on having started with $5,000 in the account. We have a projection of about $166,000 a year. At the end of 12 months, we'll know exactly what it is. And then starting year 2, you have a very, very strong run rate foundation to build your forecast off of. Now, if you decide that going from $5,000 at the beginning of your 12-month time frame to $166,000 over a 12-month period is not sufficient, you can adjust the number of contracts. Now, let me just quickly tell you the number of contracts is limited by 2 things. Number 1, this value right here, we will never allow our number of contracts to be such that the margin requirement for the contracts is more than 10% of the value of the account. So we have to have at least 10% of the value of the account in order to cover the number of contracts, the margin on the number of contracts that we want to trade. The second thing that limits it is your choice, your own personal bias for risk appetite or risk suppression. We've decided to leave ours going forward at 3 contracts, but you can certainly change to whatever you are comfortable with. If you are confident in your run rate, you understand how you got there, you're not completely wigged out if you have a losing day, or like we had a 87-point losing day last Friday. You're not bothered by all that more than reasonably. Then you could decide to increase the number of contracts. And let's say you decided that you would graduate from 3 contracts to 5 contracts. You still will not see the personal trading plan tool increment contracts unless there is sufficient capital in the account so that the margin requirement on the 5 contracts is no more than 10% of the value of the account. But had you increased from 3 to 5, then your projection, the history doesn't change, but the projection going forward, you can see it changed from 3 contracts to 5, and all of a sudden, instead of your 12-month forecast being 166,000, now your 12-month forecast is 230,000. 5 contracts is a very reasonable amount to trade for anybody who's confident in what they're doing, has some experience under your belt, and doesn't feel like you're holding your breath through each trade. You just are trusting the process and trusting the system, and you understand what's happening. You want to get a little more crazy, 10 contracts. There's no limit to what you can decide to do here. I would tell you to proceed cautiously, proceed wisely, and part of your wisdom of making this decision and maximum number of contracts must absolutely be based on your personal confidence level in what you're doing. And you can look at these values of your average wins and your average losses and understand clearly why you're there, how you got there, and it's pretty much in line with what you see Erin trading every day in the live trading room. She tracks these 2 categories specifically. So I'm going to leave ours at 3 contracts. By the way, you could lower it too if you decided to. You could lower it to 2 contracts for the rest of the 12 months, and your projection's about 134,000. So that's a really strong value, in my opinion, to go from 5,000 to 166,000, or to go from 5,000 to 288,000. And we will definitely see what that is in about another 6 months. But from between now and then, we're going to continue to track the performance detail, which Erin does a great job of tracking this every single day. All the detail of the trades, the strategy that was traded, whether it was long or short. Everything that we're doing right now is on a 5-minute chart, but if that ever changes, we would indicate on this tracking, whether it was a 3-minute or a 10-minute or a 30-minute, whatever time frame we're trading, the time of the trade and what the profit or loss was on the trade. Last thing I just want to show you here real quickly is the averages. Now this is a really incredible tool that Aaron built into the spreadsheet. We can look at the two categories that I just talked about that are highlighted in green here. The all signals 9:30 to noon, all in for the last 130 trading days, we're averaging $332.92 a day. There have been 34 losing days, negative days during that period of time. In the same 130 trading days, the 7 to 4 category, trading only the trend bias and continuation signals, is averaging $535.88 a day. There have been 27 losing days during that time period. Two of the most productive categories there are all signals 7 to 4. That's averaging $1,038 a day at 23 negative days. And then if you took a look at all signals, including fractals, because the numbers I just shared with you do not include fractals, but Aaron and Michael do a great job of identifying fractals during the day too. A lot of people in our community trade fractals, but we're not counting those in our data that we are translating into the personal trading plan. But if you wanted to see what the performance would be, because we have all of the detail by strategy, 7 to 4, all signals from the adaptive entry system, including fractals, is averaging about $1,363 a day, and there have been 18 losing days. That by far is the best performing category that we have. But not everybody wants to trade from 7 to 4. Not everyone wants to be as busy as you might need to be to trade all of the adaptive entry system signals, including fractals during that period of time. But what we do is we share the data with you and tell you what that particular category can do in terms of performance. One of the coolest features, and I'm going to put this out there because there might be some questions about it this evening. One of the coolest features that Aaron built into the spreadsheet is the ability for us to select a category. Select any category we want. It could be trend bias only. It could be cycle finder. No, sorry. It could be continuation trades only. It could be any combination of signals that we have in the adaptive entry system, and then we can pick any time frame. So if somebody wanted to say, well, I wouldn't mind trading all signals plus fractals, but I only want to trade from like 9 to 11, we can put 9 in the starting time, we can put 11 in the finish time, and we're going to be able to tell you in 130 trading days what the daily average has been that we've seen historically, and what the negative days are, what the average number of trades are, and what the win-loss ratio is for that particular zone. So it's really valuable for somebody who's coming in new and is thinking that they only have a limited amount of time to trade. They give us the parameters of when they want to trade and what they're willing to trade in terms of signals, and we can help you understand what to expect reasonably. Now, that's all based on history. There's no guarantee going forward that that history is going to repeat itself, but we track all this data, and then of course we as I showed you in the personal trading plan, we plug actual performance in every single day so that we have a reasonable projection of what our income could be over the course of 12 months.
Paul's actually asking if you can show what 9 to 3 is for all signals and fractals.
9 to 3?
Yes.
Okay, so 9, these are all Eastern times. So 9 to 3, all signals, including fractals, averages $843.62 a day. That's per contract. So that's per contract. So if you're trading more contracts, you need to multiply it times the number of contracts you're trading. That's based on a 130 trading day time frame, and there have been 28 losing days out of that 130 trading days.
Mark, if you could go to the daily summary for that, he wants to just look at it from 1027 forward. So if you could just scroll so it shows that, and that way he could screenshot it.
Okay. So here's 1027 right here. And then here's today. Almost had it all on one.
Thank you.
Close enough. Yeah, no problem. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Michael and Aaron to field some questions that you guys might have.
Ray's asking, what's your stop loss? So on these trades, it's a 20-point stop loss, which is $400 on NQ. And that's on all the trades. Some of them will have a lower risk than that. If there is a nearby fractal that is less than 20 points away, we'll adjust to that fractal instead. But otherwise, our max loss is 20 points.
Mark, Steve's asking, do you track the options part of your system? Do you have spreadsheets for options similar to what Genius Aaron constructed for NQ?
Genius, Aaron. Is that a misprint?
I like that.
So, Steve, we have a tab to track options also. We are not currently using it. And it really just boils down to capacity. You know, we are fully focused on hosting the live trading room, and we could be identifying signals on multiple futures contracts, ES, RTY, bonds, oil, gold. We could also be, you know, looking at options on the cash indexes. We could be looking at options on our watch list of stocks. It really just boils down to a capacity issue for us to be able to look at all of those different things. So what we've done instead is we've focused very strongly on teaching you both through our education program as well as in the live trading room how to interpret the signals. And then you can apply that same interpretation to any other equity, whether it be futures contract or options trading that you want to. You know, if I pulled out, for example, and I took a look at a 10-minute or 30-minute or daily chart on the S&P 500, you can do some of your own research and apply the same logic of those signals to these equities. So, for example, here is a trend bias trade to go long on the daily chart on the S&P 500, and that entry happened on November 6th. And if you're going to hold, you know, you got to decide what your parameters are for exiting, but there's actually not been anything to tell you to take that trade off since November 6th. And here we are on the 16th, and you can see that that had a nice move to the upside. So my I think final response is the adaptive entry system is an adaptive system. It works well on most anything that you want to trade. We will focus on the NASDAQ 100 futures 5-minute chart because it's a nice steady stream and flow of profits and losses and signals and activity. And beyond that, you can take that exact same logic and you can apply it to anything that you choose to trade.
Mike is asking if you have any plans to offer a market open trade alert service in the next few months. Love it if you guys were again offering a trade alert type of service for options preferably.
Yeah, so Mike, that kind of relates to my response to Steve is partly it's a capacity issue, but we've been having some conversations, a lot of conversations actually about some development that we want to do and continue our collaboration with Craig and his team at New Cycle Trading. And one of the things that's kind of on my wish list is developing a more automated alert service that would be options based. We're not there yet. We're not even into development yet. We've had some discussions. We have some other priorities right now, but it's something that I personally think would be very valuable for our community, where we could identify a signal, we could automatically push that to our app, our smartphone app that we have, and push a trade out to you. So it's one of those things that is in discussion, but we've made no commitment yet to develop it.
Mark Bob's asking what's the trading results from 8 to 10, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Bob, are you looking for all signals? All signals, including fractals? I can give you 8 to 10 all signals, including fractals. And then if that's not what you want, I can adjust that. All signals, which is 4 adaptive entry system signals, trend, continuation, consensus, and momentum, plus fractals, is averaging $335.35 a day for the last 130 trading days. There have been 37 losing days, negative days during that period of time. You're going to average about 9.5 trades a day, and your win-loss ratio is about 73%.
Mark, Fred's asking, I've been learning the Infinity platform. I don't see how the commission is included in the daily plan.
Oh, so here, the personal trading plan, when I put in the number of contracts that were traded, there's a calculation up here. We're making an assumption of $4 per contract. And so it calculates into our total. So our gross profit today was $2,100. But when you look over here, it's taken into account the commissions. And so it's calculating our run rate average based on $1,908 of profit. So it's our gross profit minus the commission associated with the total number of contracts we traded.
Do you have the 9:30 to 4, so regular trading hours?
I can.
Thank you.
It's a keyboard.
Mm-hmm. It's a new one, right?
Actually, yes. All right, 9:30 to 4. All signals, including fractals, is just under $935 a day, 24 losing days. You end up with about 27 trades on an average per day and about a 75, just over a 75% win-loss ratio.
And I see your second question here is just started live trading room yesterday at noon. Sometimes I had trouble in the live trading room following, especially the fractals. So what I recommend is if you're just starting off, you focus on AES first. Those are the easiest signals to follow. They're the red highlights or the greenish blue highlights that are on the screen. And then once you have mastered the AES signals and trading futures, if you're newer to trading, then you start incorporating fractals. And that's because you can be in a fractal trade and then have an AES signal come on, or vice versa. So you could be long a contract on a trend bias trade and then long another contract on a fractal. And you just need to be aware of how futures work, how your DOM works, your trading platform works, what action you want to take in that type of environment. If you want to use the cost average price to exit the trade, or if you want to treat them differently. It's just a little bit more complicated than just following the AES signals. So fractals are a bonus in my opinion. So I would start with the AES signals first, master those. Of course, always start in SIM and then add the fractals at a later point.
Just to make sure, and Aaron, I was thinking it and you said it, but sim trading, if you're first starting, I think is a must.
Absolutely.
And I agree with you 100%. Paul's asking, do these numbers, Eric went aware of this, reflect any slippage?
We track our numbers off the open price of the bar. And the reason we do that is because we don't know what everybody's variable slippage is. We could have somebody have positive slippage in the room and maybe got filled favorably by a point or point and a half. and somebody else who took that same trade might have unfavorable slippage of a point or point and a half. So I think it's important for you to kind of establish an experience rate in terms of what your slippage is. And slippage is affected by a variety of things. How quickly are you executing the trade? If you're blinking 3 times and really wanting to make sure it's good and solid, you might have more slippage than others. It could be the speed of your internet connection. It could be the processor on your computer. It could be a variety of things. My general experience is that slippage is not that big of a deal in the big scheme of things, because I could go through an entire day and I've got, a quarter of a point or a half a point of slippage, quarter of a point, half a point of slippage, and then I have a fill that's a point or point and a half of favorable slippage. So they kind of weigh each other out, not entirely, not completely, but because of that, and because we have so many people in our community trading the same signals, we track based on the open of the bar.
So we're showing
If
the opportunity, and also to tag on that, there's slippage and the exits too. I know there's been trades where I got out for 11 points of profit, but we're recording 10 because we're trying to be very, it's easier with all the data to just do 5, the 10, or of course, if we're reversing a trade, it'll be something different than that. But there's favorable slippage on the exits as well, but we won't record 11 points or 12 points wherever we get filled. We'll record the 10 points instead. So I do feel like it mostly evens it all out at the end, and we're showing what the opportunity is on each signal.
Yeah, one other thing that goes kind of hand in hand with that is we show 5 points of profit once Aaron has locked in 5 points. But there are a lot of these trades where you've locked in 5 and then it goes to 6, it goes to 8, it goes to 9, it doesn't hit your 10 point and it comes back and takes it at 5. We have a lot of people in our community that are going to actively manage that trade and say, well, I've locked in 5, now I'm going to lock in 6, now I'm going to lock in 7. Okay, I got taken out at 7. So
that was yesterday, Michael, right? I think if I had my limit order at 9 points, I would have had about 4 or 5 trades that I was out for 9.
Yes.
But
Yes.
but instead we recorded 5 points because it came back. It never went to 10, it went to 9 quite a few times.
Our intention is to be as conservative as we can in presenting the results that that we show you, and from there there's going to be some variable nature between different traders, and so you develop your own experience rate.
Fred's asking, do you use the Infinity reverse button, or reverse function? I shouldn't say button, but function. I'm going to answer that, Mark, and you can weigh in. But I never use it. If I'm long, I'll hit. If I'm long, I have a reverse. I hit sell. If I want to go back short again, or I'll just hit sell to close the position. So if I'm trying to reverse something and I'm long, I'll click sell twice. That just seems to work out better for me. I get better fills that way, but
I'm similar. So if I'm long one contract, I'll change my quantity quickly to 2 contracts and click sell, and then change my quantity back to 1. These are a little bit more expert moves. So this is things that you want to practice in sim. But I find that my fills are a little bit better than using the reverse button.
I was going to say exactly the same thing. I think that the greatest degree of slippage that I experience in trading is when I use the reverse button.
Agree.
And let me tag on something else, and I didn't get to say it, but if you're not 100% focused when you've got 2 seconds left, and you say, oh, okay, then you sit there and you look at the time, you got filled at 4 seconds after the minute, after, like, say if it's 8:45 and 4 seconds, you're too slow, because 4 seconds can mean 3 points. Last week it was 6 or 7 points. So you have
some
to
of the
be,
trades were out in 4 seconds.
Yeah, you have to be on it. You have to have your hand and your mouse on the buy or sell, whichever one it's going to be. It's going to more than likely what it's going to be, if it's going to be a buy or sell most of the time, because Erin is so I call it expert. I mean, there's no doubt about that. She does it every day. She knows that program like the back of her hand. And today she said it's going to be a consensus. How does she know that? I mean, I'm trying to figure it out, but I can't, and I hadn't asked her yet. But I'm sure there's a reason that she does that. But
I try to walk through all the possibilities so you can
Yeah.
be prepared for that.
Yeah, because I mean, like, yeah, once again, 1 or 2 seconds, you know, but if it gets 3 or 4 or 5 seconds, you're behind.
Most of my trades are filled at 0 seconds or 1 seconds after.
Well, in the last 2 sessions here, Q&A sessions, you might want to go back and review the last session, the one before that, because Erin did a nice job of explaining to folks how she sets up her dome, how she's keeping track of what the possible trade is, how she's keeping track of whether we might be going long or short. And she has her cursor hovering over buy market or sell market, ready to click. And the moment she sees the trade, she's clicking. And that's why she can get filled at 0 seconds or 1 second. And she's going to get the most favorable fills.
And I don't
typically.
even need to register what the trade is because I'm trading all signals. It's a little different if you're being selective of the signals you're trading. But there was one trade earlier today. I said it's probably going to be a consensus, and it was a continuation, which makes sense looking back. But all I look at is the green highlight. If the bar's highlighted, I'm clicking the buy button. If it's highlighted green, I'm clicking buy. If it's highlighted red, I'm clicking sell, and then I'll look over and see what the signal was.
And she's good at it. I'll leave it at that. Tony's asking, do you look at how to improve the win rate?
Well, today 9:30 to noon was 100% win rate. I don't know, Mark, if you have anything.
Well, we're always looking at how we can massage and tweak the adaptive entry system. Craig and I talk every day, and Craig is just seriously an absolute genius when it comes to programming market metrics and evaluating and thinking through how to eliminate chop, how to eliminate trades or days where we have bigger losses. So it's an ongoing process of us evaluating and also incorporating possibly some other market metrics, some other strategies into the equation. I'm not going to go into it or tell you anything about it, but we've got some strategies that we're evaluating right now, and we've been evaluating for a period of time that help us understand a little bit with a little bit more precision when to get in and how long to stay in. So, you know, there's an ongoing process of us evaluating what is happening. So I always start from the premise of what we're doing, in my opinion, based on the personal trading plan and performance result we've seen, is going extremely well. If we can go from $5,000 to $166,000 or $5,000 to $280,000 over the course of 12 months, I think we're doing pretty well. But there are those days like last Friday that just was frustrating because it was 85 points of drawdown. And is there a way for us to work beyond those days and narrow the range of those days? And absolutely there is. So it's an ongoing process for us, and we're just grateful to be so tied with Craig's team to make a lot of this happen. And I think you're going to see some pretty amazing things coming out over the course of 2021 that we are in the early stages of developing right now.
Craig's always got something going on in his head.
Yeah.
Always.
Fred's
fun.
asking if I'm on my computer while in the trade room, am I able to follow Aaron's trades?
Yes,
Yes.
if you're
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
if
you
you're in the
should.
live trading room, you're going to be able to see Erin's charts, and she's identifying the signals when they happen, and she's identifying when she's locking in 5 points, and she's identifying when the trade was taken out, and any adjustments that she's done to the stop. Absolutely.
I recommend having your own charts eventually, and if you're using the charts that we're showing in the room, don't wait until I call it out. I mean, you're able to see it on the screen too, but Michael's talking about 3 to 4 to 5 seconds of delay to get into a trade. That's going to happen if you're waiting for me to verbally call it out, because I have to finish saying that we're long. So it doesn't take long to say that word, but I have to say it and then you have to register it and then click, and that's going to increase your delay. But what it's a benefit of being in that live trading room is I do let you know when we're in that trade, what we're in at the price at, what we're looking for our lock price, when we're adjusting our stop, when we're considering closing the trade, when we're considering reversing the trade, which helps reinforce all of the training for the AES as well.
And something else, Aaron, we talked about this, it's been a while, but it's Christmas right now. You can get unbelievable deals and monitors. Go buy another monitor and plug it in the side of your computer or your laptop, HDMI. I mean, most everyone's got HDMI now. That helps a lot. If you've got two screens, you can see our charts or you can see your platform, whatever you're looking at. Don't get as jumbled. To me, it is. I mean, I've got more than enough screens, but I'm just saying that helps a lot too. To me, could help you.
Absolutely. You can have your trading and your chart on one screen and then the live trading room on the other screen. Mario's asking if you can show from 8:45, I'm assuming until 4, for all signals and fractals. So 8:45 to 4, all fractals, but then profit target of 20 points.
So 8:45 to 4, all signals plus fractals, right?
Yes, and a profit target of 20 points.
Without the profit target of 20 points, it's $1,000 a day on average. Profit target of 20 points, $374 a day.
Let's see. Fred is asking, what is the cost of the trading plan?
The personal trading plan is $197. It's a one-time cost to have access to the personal trading plan.
Best deal of the century for what you get out of it, and for
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, wait a minute, Michael. Are you saying we should charge more?
I don't know. I don't want to answer that question.
Well, I'm asking because your renewal is coming up.
Oh, is it? Well,
oh,
Aaron slips me stuff in the background.
that's
Thanks,
okay.
Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no
send it to
renewal
you.
on it. It's a one-time fee, and if we do updates to it, we let you know and send you out an updated version.
I can send you a link to with more information on that, Fred.
Dean's asking what value to see. I put the personal trading plan on days I can't trade. What date I put? If you don't trade,
right.
and then you know what he's trying to ask. Okay.
Yeah, right here. You leave the profit column blank, and you put 0 in contracts. And by doing that, the way Aaron designed this, it will not factor into your average. It'll only calculate your average based on the days that you trade. Right, Aaron?
Right, correct, yes.
Let's see, Paul's asking, after my experience last Friday, what's your advice on drawdowns? I blew my budget and stopped just about the time we started winning again. Well, that right there, Paul, is probably one of the more difficult questions to answer, because it was frustrating if you stopped because you'd had enough of the losses, and a lot of that loss was made up in the afternoon. That's just kind of the nature of trading. So, if you look at your personal trading plan and you have enough history behind you to say, all right, well, 32 points of a losing 32 points is an average losing day. And, maybe you're at 40 points and you just say, enough is enough. And maybe the rest of that day it reversed and you would have made it back, but you don't know that. And at some point you can take a step back and say, I'm done. And I can look at that two different ways. Say, listen, if I'm down somewhere around my plan number, I know that if I operated at these run rates, I know what my 12-month forecast is likely going to be, my income. it's really no different than our profit target. We have a lot of people who are trading, particularly 9:30 to noon, who tell us that their goal is to earn 20, 21, or 25 points a day. And when they hit that number, they stop. Well, maybe that's the day that we hit 110 points, or maybe that's a day like today that we hit 55 points of profit. And if you feel like you always left something on the table and you feel bad because you missed out, then you're never going to be at peace trading. And so by the same token, if you have a well-established run rate, or you use hours as a guide, and you're at, a loss of 35, 40, 45 points, you're somewhere in the range of what your plan is. And you know that if you run at that plan, you know what your income is likely to be over a 12-month period, well, then stop. And if you look back later and see that it all would have come back to you, so what? It's no different than stopping when you hit 25 points, because your plan says your average run rate is 25 points, and then the rest of the day you earned another 20, 30, 50 points. It doesn't really matter. Use the personal trading plan as your guide.
I know we had, Bob had asked a question earlier. I think we showed the all signals and fractals, but I'm not sure if we showed trend bias from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m.
8 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Yes. Just trend bias.
Okay, trend bias only.
TB plus 10. It'll be at the
TB 10.
top. TB plus 10. Yes.
Okay, so if you took only the trend bias trades, no other signal, and you only traded from 8 to 10, it's about 100, just under $143 a day. Oops, wait, I need to take that out, right?
Oh, and you know what? That's trend bias and continuation. So it'd have to be T. I apologize.
Wait, no, that's TB.
So it'd
Plus
just be
right here.
T. It's probably up. Just T. Nothing else next to it.
T.
Yes.
Just under $102 a day. Win-loss ratio 75%. You're going to have 2 to 3 trades a day.
Now keep in mind it's 124 trading days because you won't always have a trade during that time. You're not
Right.
guaranteed a trend bias to start during that time frame.
Good point.
Am I clear to ask questions? I don't.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, I just had it. Where did it go? Okay. Paul's asking, are they a way to trade 2 contracts? The first one is a bracket order with 5 points, and the second is a trading stop in 1 order. Paul, I've looked into that. There's a multi-trailing. I would just call Infinity or look on their website if you trade Infinity or whoever you trade with, and some YouTube videos, or just call and talk to support. And I've done that before, but they've got a multi-bracket and multi-trailing. You can set it up, but yeah, I think it can be done, but I would call and talk to them directly. But absolutely, that's using the downloaded platform, not the web-based. The web-based might be totally different. I don't know if you're using Infinity.
But I think it can be a multi-bracket or a multi-trailing, but you can't do a bracket and a trailing. I could be wrong. You'll have to ask Infinity. I know if you have 2 contracts for a trailing stop, the trailing stop doesn't behave correctly. If you enter at different times.
And some of that's going to be based on whether your settings are last in, first out, or first in, first out. It gets a little more complex when you're entering at different times, or you're trying to cost average, or you want a more complex nature of your exits. But like Aaron and Michael said, that'd be a good conversation for you to have with Infinity.
We've gotten that question before. What do you use, last in, first out, or first in, first out? If you're trading both fractals and AES, unfortunately, there's not a consistent behavior about which one is going to be, which one makes more sense. Sometimes you'll want first in, first out. Other times you want last in, first out. It just depends on how the price has moved. So I just keep track of each one individually. I know that's what Mark does too. He just keeps track of each one individually.
I'm not going to tell you how though, because I'll get abused by that.
Yellow legal pad. Pamela-
Legal pad, yes.
Pamela's wanting to know, could you please show 9 to 12 all signals?
Right there. There's all signals, not counting fractals. Just under $392 a day for 130 trading days. You're going to have about 11 trades a day on an average, and you got almost a 76% win rate. 9 to noon. That's
Greg's
pretty
saying-
solid right
oh,
there. Remember,
sorry.
that is per contract. So let's just round up, say $400 per contract. That's pretty strong. $400, I know I'm rounding up, but $400 a day average is $8,000 a month of income. So that's about $100,000 a year.
Greg's saying, have you considered making the performance tracking form web-based so we can play around with timeframes and signal types?
So we have had some conversations about what we want to do. I feel like we're still in a development phase of this. It's an outstanding tool. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that Aaron continues to develop and work with. And at some point, if we decide to, then maybe in 2021, we would look at a way of making it available. But for now, it's available in these Q&As for us to show you some specific things or during the live trading room.
Absolutely. We get questions all the time in the live trading room asking for specific performance averages or even just for the day. As Steve's saying, if you were looking to trade futures but are looking for an entity that had a good win percentage, what would you recommend? NQ can sometimes go crazy. Do you have any thoughts on a more mild-mannered product? So if you don't like the type of price movement that you see on NQ, which is actually part of NQ that I like because you can see quick movements. Way back when we would trade futures, I would call out ES signals and Mark and Michael would be calling out NQ signals, and they'd be in and out of trades, and I would still be holding as it goes up a tick, down a tick, up a tick. I mean, ES moves very slowly compared to NQ. There is a middle ground of RTY. If you're looking for something a little bit, again, that doesn't move as much as NQ, but we don't have tracking specifically for ES and RTY as we do for NQ. So I'm still a big fan of NQ, even with the crazy movements, because there's plenty of times where those crazy movements allow you to get in and out of trade in just a few seconds. You know, when you hit the buy market and all of a sudden it hits your limit order and you're out.
Yes.
You have to check the trade log to figure out what happened.
What happened? I know I hit send.
And I saw it flash there.
Jack's asking, please add the fractals to the 9 to 12 time frame, please.
All right, I did that, Jack. If you look at the screen, 9 to 12, all signals, including fractals, just over $512 a day average for the past 130 trading days. You've got 33 losing days during that time frame. You're going to average just over 14 trades a day. You got about a 76% win rate. That's pretty strong. You know, I mean, $500 a day, that's per contract. So $500 a day is, what's that?
Hours? For 3 hours?
For 3 hours is $10,000 a month. So you're talking about roughly $120,000 a year income for three hours a day. And it's scalable depending on how comfortable you are. You can, you know, trade more contracts if you choose to.
Right, if you're looking for closer to 1,000, first make sure your account makes sense. Use a personal trading plan with the amount of risk that you want to set aside. and 2 contracts, then you're there. You're still trading the same amount of time, still with the same performance average, but now you're doubling your profit potential.
All right, Kevin, that'd be great. We'd be happy to help you. Kevin's just saying, I've enjoyed attending these biweekly sessions. I'm interested in learning at what level I'd like to participate. So you can reach out to us when you're ready, Kevin. We're happy to help guide you.
I do, Christian. Christian's saying Aaron gives info all day in the room. I try. Sometimes it takes me a little bit to get caught up on the overnight, but I'm there to give any sort of information you want from this tracking spreadsheet.
I don't see any more questions, Mark.
Michael, have you seen any trades since we've been talking?
I haven't been looking at it, Mark.
Paul is looking for all plus fractals from 7 to 9. So just pre-market.
All plus fractals from 7 to 9. Okay. And that's, let's just say, rounding up $395 a day. 26 losing days during that time frame. You're going to have an average of 8 trades. So 8 trades over a 2-hour period, that seems pretty reasonable, about 72% win rate. I have yet to, in all this research, find a time frame that gives us a negative number or something that, you know, wouldn't be worth trading. This little feature that Aaron built in here to allow us to do exactly what we've been doing it's very powerful, because we can do the research and we can help you understand, you know, if you can only trade 7 to 9, here's what you could reasonably expect. It's not going to happen exactly that way every single day. We're talking about an average over 130 trading days, 130 trading days. But, you know, if you're patient and you are diligent about following the process and paying attention to your averages, you know, it's a reasonable expectation. There's no guarantee that you're going to have that going forward, but it's a reasonable expectation. Mario,
Does the room, oh, sorry.
no, go ahead. I'll set this up while you're answering that
Okay.
question.
Fred's asking, does the room open at 8:45 a.m. Eastern time? Yes, it's usually opened a couple minutes before. Depends on who's opening the room, how early it opens, but our official start time is 8:45. That's the first time you'll hear us speak. I can tell you when I open the room, since I'm in Mountain Time and that's 6:45 my time, it's going to be opened up closer to the 8:45 rather than earlier.
6:44.
Sometimes, yeah, it's early.
Well, we don't make any commitment prior to 8:45 a.m. Eastern. Okay, so Mario was asking 8:45 to 4. It's about $1,000 a day, and then if we put in 25 points as a target, it's about $454 a day. And if you put in 30 points as a target, it's about $491 a day. Anyway, slice it, that's pretty strong.
Mark, I don't know if you can do this or not, but all signals, including fractals, from 9:30 to say 3 o'clock, and only taking 5 points of profit.
Okay.
Oh.
Wait, 9:30 you said, Michael?
9:30
to 3
o'clock, and only taking $5.
5
5
points.
points.
5 points, yeah, 5 points.
9:30, and you want all plus fractals or just all?
All, just everything.
Okay, and 5 points is a target.
Mm-hmm.
About $118 a day.
Okay. Now take out fractals, just AES signals only.
I'll do
Well, that's
that.
a good
But
win
before I get off of that, that's a 93.5% win rate.
Yep.
That's pretty darn strong right there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah. get into all that, but yeah, just all
All
signals.
without fractals, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Work on making those alphabetical for you.
That's okay.
Still $117. Yeah.
It's the same,
Yeah.
about $118 a day.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that what Mario? I don't know if that's what you're talking about or not, but we talked about that this week. I know in the room that, I know we're trying to lock into 5, but if it gets to $4.50 or $5, and it keeps, sometimes it goes straight to it, but then sometimes it goes right to it, then bounces right back and forth. I don't like all that though. So there's nothing wrong with taking $5. It goes to show you 93% win rate. Now, you say, well, you only $117 a day. That's one contract. If you trade 2 contracts, that's $250 a day or $225, whatever that is, $240, I think it is. Would it be $240?
So
Yeah.
so call it
6
two.
losing days.
Yeah,
Yeah,
6
yeah,
losing
6.
days out of 130 days.
Yeah, that's strong.
So call $236 a day if you traded 2 contracts. What is that? 672. That's $4,700 a month.
Yeah.
And do you see your average number of trades? I don't know if you guys said that already, but less than 3 trades.
Yeah, 3 trades.
And then you're done.
That's right. I know somebody in the room that does that, and that's all they do. They set it up and they forget about it, and they think they're 5 points, and they get to the next trade. They 5 points, 5 points, 5 points, 5 points, 5 points. Now, if you have a stop out of 20 points, then that hurts. That's obvious. But the research shows you right there, 93% win rate. It's pretty strong. Because a lot of them will get to 5 points and turn right around. Well, but that's not true though.
Well, but that's just
Look at
taking 5
all
points
these.
per day though, Michael. You're stopping every time you take 5
Yeah.
points a day,
Yes.
Not trades.
not
Yeah.
per trade.
You're just stopping at 5 points a day.
Gotcha.
So once you hit $100 of profit, you're closing down your dome.
Now,
Okay.
to Michael's point though, if you are trading 5, if you're satisfied with 5 points, you don't really want or need anything else. I've seen so many times where it gets to 5 and it just doesn't move beyond 5 enough for us to manually lock in at 5. But if you're satisfied with 5 and you don't care about anything beyond that, you can use a bracket order to take you out at 5 points. You can use a trailing stop order to take you to trigger at 5 points with a 2-tick trail, and you might be taken out at 4.5 points, not counting slippage, or it might keep going. It might get taken out at 5 or 6 or 7. So there's all sorts of variables that you can use if you are only interested in 5 points per trade.
Is that today's numbers there you're looking at? Is that today's numbers?
Yes, sir, it is.
All of them
Yes.
are 5 pointers. It looks like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm confused. So that $5 is just one trade a day. Is that what I mean? One trade.
Once you hit $100 of profit, once you hit 5 points of profit, you're quitting for the day.
Yeah.
And so the question is, how can you have more than $100? Because there is times where it will continue to run to 10 points. And so even though your profit target, you're stopping at 5 points, this is all still based on the rules that we trade every day, that once it gets above 5 points, you're locking in your 5 points of profit. But if it continues to run to 10, then you're out for 10. So that's why it's actually averaging more than what your profit target is for the day, is because there's the trades, especially trading starting at 9:30, there's those trades that move considerably quickly, and you can easily get 10 points because it doesn't come back and take you out for 5. So that's how it's averaging more than $100 a day.
Just to be clear, I'm talking about every trade taking $5, not just taking, that's what I'm talking about. But anyway.
Yeah, there's not a way to look at that on this spreadsheet.
Yeah.
We have done that before, and I've just looked at select days, and it wasn't quite as profitable as allowing it to also go to 10, to at least guaranteeing yourself 5, but then allowing it to go to 10 gives you a little bit more flexibility, and of course then a little bit more profit potential.
Gerald's asking, can you use your own platform in the room? Yeah.
Well, you need your own trading platform.
Yeah, if you use a different broker, yeah, I mean, yeah, because you have to have it. You have to have your own platform.
And then you also can have your own chart. The chart that we show in the live trading room with all of the AES signals is available to you as well. So you can have your own chart.
10 seconds.
Fred wants to asking, how do you set up a 5-point lock?
We've shown that. I can give you the link. Mark might be trying to show it here too.
And
But
so
go ahead.
if we had entered the trade where the horizontal blue bar is right here, and we're in that trade, was that 17 3/4, and we're in that trade to go long. This is just hypothetical. We know that 5 points is 22 3/4. It's just whatever we are in the trade at plus 5 points, or minus if we're short. So 22 3/4 is right here. So what Aaron does, what Michael does, what I do is, as soon as we're in the trade and we know where 5 points is, we have our cursor adjacent to the 5-point price. And as soon as the actual price moves above or below, in the case of a short, that 5-point price, we just click and we lock it in. It's a manual lock. And sometimes it comes back and takes us out at 5 points immediately. Sometimes the price continues to move. We have our lock in at 5 points, guarantee we can't lose on the trade. And in some cases, it continues to move up further, all the way to our 10-point profit target. And other times it might move up to 6, 7, 8 points and then come back and take us out at 5. But it's really just simply locking in. So if you're in the room, Aaron can show you that. You can understand how that is done.
So there's also a training education video that we did where we showed exactly the actions that we're taking on the Dome as we're trading through the Dome. It's on New Cycle Trading's webpage at newcycletrading.com/education. Towards the bottom of that page, there are a couple videos on exactly how we use the Infinity Dome. But it's essentially, as soon as that blue highlight gets past that 5 points, the blue highlight is the current price on Infinity's platform, then I'm clicking to lock the 5 points in. And as Mark said, sometimes it'll come back and I'm out for 5. Other times it continues to run and it goes to 10 points. Sometimes it goes to 9 and then comes back, but we won't talk about that.
9 3/4.
So Paul, that is a bracket order still. So our bracket order, it's exactly as it's shown on the screen. It's a 40 tick profit, which is 10 points, and an 80 tick stop loss, which is 20 points. Every time I click a buy or a sell market button, my bracket is sent immediately with the order. And then so we go to lock in at 5 points, and my 10-point limit order is still sitting out there. And so that's how we can still make 10 points, even though we've locked in 5 by placing that. It doesn't mean we're out for 5 until price comes back to take us out at 5. Sometimes it continues on and hits the 10-point limit order, and then we're out for the 10 points of profit. So those are that's the bracket. Paul's asking, when it says 7 to 4, are you trading all the way to 4? No, but I don't think any of our trades start at 4. Most of our trades are ending around
Sometime
anywhere
between
from
3
3
and
to
4.
3:30.
Yeah, most of the time we're done no later than 3:30, but if we trade longer than that, we're definitely not trading past 4. But sometime in the 3 o'clock hour is generally when we stop trading. But we've had days where we've traded till, last trade is 3:50. That's in our data. Whatever is in our data between 7 to 4 comes into play.
Technically, the time frame, so 7 to noon, your last trade is taking at noon. You would take a 12 o'clock trade. So the spreadsheet, if you plug in 7 to noon, it is from 7 till 12. And if a signal comes on 12, it's counting that signal at 12 o'clock.
Under the bar, Pamela's asking, is that 5-point lock, is it from the open of the bar? If you have slippage, use Aaron's target.
That's how I trade.
Mhm.
Regardless of what my fill is, I'm exiting based on the 5 points on the open of the bar. So sometimes I take more than 5, sometimes I take a little less than 5, but that's personally how I trade.
All All right, folks, I don't see any other questions out there. So this is, as I said, our last Q&A session of 2020. We'll put together a schedule in early January and let you know when the first Q&A session for the new year is going to be. But I just want to take this opportunity to thank each of you for being part of our community. Wish all of you a happy and safe holiday season. I realize that this holiday season may be a little different for many of us than past years. Maybe there's some restrictions on traveling. Maybe you know, you can't get together with family and friends as freely as you might have in the past. But this too shall pass, and looking forward to 2021. Looking forward to some really amazing things that we're working on with New Cycle Trading, which, you know, hopefully we can be discussing more in early 2021. And I just want to very sincerely thank Aaron and Michael and Dorothy and Craig for all being part of this team of people who are committed to helping each of you as traders achieve your goals. So thank you very much for being part of us, Michael, Aaron. Thanks for what you do every day. And I'm going to go ahead and close out the room, and we'll talk to you guys again tomorrow morning if you're in the live trading room. Otherwise, we'll talk to you in early 2021.